Dr. Veliner was not like other alien scientists. He didn't care about power or money. He cared about one thing: life. How it started, how it grew, and more importantly, how it survived. He worked in the high genetic research lab on the floating city of Sterile. This lab was the most advanced in the galaxy. Only top scientists were allowed to enter. Dr. Veliner was the best of them all. One day, he sat alone in his lab, looking at a glowing screen. On it was DNA data, long strings of code from different species. He had data from Thranks, from Krillari, even from the old extinct race of Tarlans. But today, his eyes were locked on something new. Something strange. Human DNA. He blinked, then looked again, his long fingers to tap the screen. This is impossible, he whispered. Every alien species he had ever studied needed special conditions to reproduce. Some needed a specific season. Some needed special foods. Some could only have one baby every 10 years, but humans? Humans were completely different. They could reproduce at almost any time. They didn't need a special environment. Their bodies were fast, adaptable. They could have multiple children. And not just once or twice in life, many times. This can't be real, Veliner muttered. He ran the test again, and again. 3 more times. Same result. Humans were not just fertile. They were the most fertile species in the known galaxy. He printed the data and ran down the hallway, his long robe flowing behind him. He reached the main hall where the other scientists were having a meeting. "I need everyone's attention," Veliner shouted. The room went quiet. Heads turned. "I have found something important. Something that could change everything." Dr. Krava, a sharp-tongued alien with 4 eyes, raised a brow. "Is this about those Earth creatures again?" "Humans?" "Yes," Veliner said, holding up the glowing report. "Look at their DNA, their reproduction rate, their birth speed." "It's ridiculous," Krava interrupted. "They are primitives." "They're not," Veliner argued. "They're stronger than we thought. They reproduce faster than any other race. If we studied them, we could help dying species, save bloodlines, maybe even solve extinction." Laughter filled the room. "Veliner has lost his mind." One scientist said, "Maybe he wants to mate with a human." Another joked. Veliner's face turned dark. He slammed the report on the table. "You are fools," he said quietly. "All of you." He turned and stormed out of the room. That night, Veliner didn't sleep. He stayed in his lab, staring at the human DNA. The numbers didn't lie. He remembered what happened to the Tarlans wiped out by low fertility. He thought about the Crinians, only 1 birth every 30 years. What if humans were the answer? He opened a secret file. A plan he never thought he'd use. Earth visit, private mission. He tapped the screen and began to prepare. He would go himself. He needed proof, real proof. A living sample. 3 days later, Veliner stood in a small human village on the edge of a forest. His ship was cloaked. No one could see him. He wore a disguise, a hologram that made him look like a tall human man in simple clothes. He watched as human children played in the grass, chasing each other. Laughter echoed. He saw mothers with babies in their arms. Fathers helping toddlers walk. So many children. So much life. He pulled out his scanner. The readings shocked him. 4 pregnancies. 3 births in the last week. 2 more expected next month. In one tiny village. His heart raced. This was more than just numbers on a screen. This was real. Suddenly he heard a noise behind him. A human boy, no older than 7, stared up at him. "Hi," the boy said with a smile. "Are you new here?" Veliner froze, then slowly nodded. "Yes, I am. My mom says new people should come meet the family," the boy said. He grabbed Veliner's hand. "Come on." Veliner let the child lead him toward a small house. He wasn't ready. He didn't expect this, but deep down he knew. He had just stepped into something much bigger than science. This was no longer a report. This was a story that would shake the galaxy. The sun on planet Cyril was no longer warm. Once, the skies were filled with flying creatures. The forests glowed in bright colors. The lakes sang soft songs in the wind. But now everything was fading. The trees no longer grew. The skies were gray. The lakes were silent. And the people? They were dying slowly, quietly. Sari stood near the edge of the cold forest. Her long silver cloak wrapped tight around her thin body. Her skin, once glowing violet, had turned a pale blue. That color meant something terrible. Fertility failure. She had reached the age of prime, when her kind were supposed to bring new life. But no child had been born in her village for over 15 years. Doctors said the eggs inside her had stopped. Waking, her body was giving up. She closed her eyes and whispered an old prayer. Not for herself, but for the future that would never come. Suddenly, a strange sound echoed through the trees. Snap. She turned fast, her hand reaching for the knife in her belt. But what stepped from the bushes was not a beast. It was a human. Dirty, tired looking, male, alone. He raised his hand slowly. "I'm not here to hurt you," he said in a calm voice. Sari stepped back. Her heart pounded. Humans were myths on Cyril. Dangerous stories told to keep children close to home. But here, he was real. She didn't move. "I crashed here," the man said, nodding toward the distant mountains. "Ship's gone. I've been walking for days, just looking for someone, anyone." His name, she would learn later, was Jake Carter. A soldier, a pilot, and without knowing it, the one living being who could save her dying species. But at that moment, Sari only saw a stranger. She kept her blade close. "Why are you really here?" she asked in a sharp voice. Jake slowly reached into his bag. She flinched. But he only pulled out a small silver packet. Food. He opened it and offered it to her. "You look hungry," he said softly. She blinked. Her body was weak, but she didn't want his pity. Still, her hands moved on their own. She took it. She sat on a rock. He sat nearby, leaving space between them. No words for a while, just chewing, just breathing. Then Jake asked, "Why are you alone?" Sari stared at the dirt. "We're not many anymore," she whispered. "Our kind can no longer make life." Jake looked confused. "You mean, no babies?" She nodded. Double quotes, "We call it the silence," she said. "No children. No new breath. Just waiting for the last of us to fall." Jake looked down. "That's heavy." Sari turned to him. "And your kind, you still grow?" Jake gave a small laugh. "Grow? We multiply like crazy. Back on Earth you blink, and someone's already got 3 kids. Sari's heart skipped. She stared at him. 3? She repeated. Jake smiled. "That's considered small, actually." She stood, walked closer, looked him in the eyes. "What if," she said slowly, "what if your kind could help mine?" Jake frowned. "You mean?" She nodded. "Our doctors say our eggs are tired, but maybe your seed has something strong, something new. We don't want control, we just want survival." Jake stared at her. He wasn't a scientist. He wasn't a doctor. He had no idea what eggs or seed really meant on an alien level. But her eyes were full of pain. And hope. And something else, desperation. "I don't know if it'll work," he said honestly. Sari gave a small smile. "Neither do I." Later that night, they sat near a small fire. Jake shared more food. Sari told stories of her people, of great cities, tall songs, and the last baby born 20 years ago. Jake told her about Earth, about crowded cities, laughter, and little ones always running around. "Maybe your people are meant to continue," Sari said. "Maybe your people are meant to continue with us." Jake replied. She looked into the flames. And for the first time in her life, Sari felt the tiniest spark. Inside her. Hope. Inside the cold, underground lab, the lights were red. Not because of danger, but because red meant secrecy. No cameras. No recordings. No eyes. Dr. Veliner stood alone in the center of the hidden chamber. Around him were tall glass tubes. Inside, each one floated a strange mix of cells, lights and soft pulses. This place wasn't on any map. Not even the Galactic Council knew it existed. But here, in this lab, Veliner was doing the one thing that could get him exiled. Or worse. He was testing human DNA on alien embryos. And he was getting results, strong ones. 3 days ago, after his trip to Earth, Veliner had returned to Zero in silence. The things he saw, families, children, fast birth cycles, were burned into his memory. The numbers didn't lie. But the Council refused to listen. They breed too fast. One had said, they are dangerous, another had warned. But Veliner didn't see danger, he saw hope. For decades, species were dying. Slow birth rates, genetic rot, collapsing lineages. If human DNA could mix with alien biology, maybe dying races could live again. So Veliner stole samples, 1 drop of human blood, 2 skin cells from a female Terran child, and the smallest cryolocked embryo from a dying alien species, the Cesari. He mixed them. He grew them, and what happened was something never seen before. Tube number 3 glowed bright green. The embryo inside it was growing 10 times faster than normal. Its heart was strong. Its bones were dense. Even its brain, barely formed, was already sparking like a full-grown mind. Veliner. Hands shook as he recorded the data. This is not evolution, he whispered. This is rebirth. Suddenly, a loud knock echoed from above. Bang. Bang. Veliner froze. No one should have known this place existed. He tapped a small screen on his wrist. Security feed came alive. 2 Council enforcers. Fully armed. His time had run out. 2 hours earlier, a message was sent from someone inside the lab. A spy. The Council now believed Veliner was not just studying humans, but creating hybrids. And in the galaxy, that was a crime. Step out, Dr. Veliner, the voice echoed from above. We know what you're doing. He looked once more at tube number 3. The tiny creature inside was growing stronger. If I don't finish this, Veliner whispered, thousands will die. He grabbed a small case, slid the growing embryo inside, sealed it in frost gel, and tapped the escape code on the wall. A secret tunnel opened behind a large machine. He didn't look back. Outside, the wind howled over the mountain ice fields. Veliner stepped into the storm, carrying the case close to his chest. He had one destination, a hidden colony, far from Council reach, a place where outlaw scientists and broken species hid. He would protect the hybrid. He would watch it grow, and maybe, just maybe, prove to the galaxy that humans weren't monsters, they were miracles. Back in the lab, the enforcers broke open the door and stepped inside. But the tubes were empty. Only one thing remained. Single message flashing on a holoscreen. You were afraid of human life. Now you should fear what comes next. Meanwhile, deep in the forest colony of Mir, a woman named Sari woke up with a sharp pain in her stomach. Jake sat up beside her. You okay? He asked. She gasped, holding her side. I don't know. Something's changing. Inside me. She wasn't sick. She wasn't dying. Her body was growing something new. And in the shadows of the galaxy, so was Dr. Veliner's secret creation. The council chamber was quiet. Too quiet. The ceiling stretched 100 meters high, glowing with soft white light. 13 high seats stood in a perfect circle, each one holding a leader from a different species. Old, wise, powerful. They had ruled the galaxy in peace for over 800 years. But now, they were afraid. Not of war. Not of disease. Not even of extinction. No. They were afraid of humans, and more specifically, of human mating. Chancellor Gork, a massive three-eyed being from the Iron Moons, stood and slammed his hand on the table. 6 more births this week, he growled. All hybrids. All part human. No permission, no testing, no control. His voice echoed across the chamber. A small, gray-skinned elder cleared his throat. They say that children are healthy, he whispered. Some even stronger than our own. That's the problem. Gork shouted. If they can breed with anyone, what stops them from replacing us all? Murmurs filled the room. Another elder, eyes like glowing stones, raised her hand. I warned you, she said. Humans are not just fertile. They are unlimited. A screen lit up in the center of the chamber. Footage appeared. A human male holding the hand of a tall, blue-skinned alien woman. She was pregnant. She smiled. In the background, other couples stood together. Alien and human. Different shapes. Different worlds, but together. No war. No fear, just life. This is spreading, the Chancellor said. We must act now. A new law was drafted within the hour. No human may mate with any alien species. All current hybrid pregnancies must be registered, monitored, or terminated. The vote passed 12-1. But the one who voted no was already gone. Far away. Deep in a quiet forest on planet Cyril, Sari clutched her belly and screamed. Jake held her tight, panic in his eyes. She's not ready, he shouted. She needs help. But the local medics didn't know what to do. No one had ever seen this kind of pregnancy. The baby was growing too fast, moving too much, glowing under her skin. Sari's face was pale, but her eyes stayed strong. She's coming, she said, panting. I can feel her. Jake wiped her forehead. Hold on. Just a little longer. Back in the stars, a black ship raced towards Cyll. Inside was a squad of council enforcers. They had one mission. Find the human. Take the hybrid child. End it. Their orders were clear. In the shadows of the law, Dr. Velenar watched the councils vote from a hidden terminal. He smiled bitterly. Too late, he whispered. The future is already here. Behind him, in a small chamber, the hybrid embryo he saved from tube number 3 had grown into a child. Not in years, but in weeks. It stood now, eyes glowing gold, skin shifting between alien tones. It spoke one word. Perfect and clear. Father. Velenar fell to his knees, not out of fear, out of awe. On Cyril, the sky darkened. The enforcer ship hovered above the village. Jake looked up, hearing the engines. They found us, he said. Sari gritted her teeth. Then they'll have to watch her be born. The baby came into the world during a thunderstorm. She didn't cry. She opened her eyes and looked straight at her father. Her skin shimmered between human pink and alien blue. She was strong. She was perfect. She was the first true child of 2 worlds, and the council had no idea how many more were coming. Jake woke up tied to a cold metal chair. His head ached. His arms were strapped down tight. His legs too. A bright white light shone into his face. Too bright to see who was behind it, but he could hear them, their claws clicking on the floor. There. Voices whispering. Is this the one? Yes, the human who made the hybrid. Then he knows the secret. Jake blinked hard, trying to speak, but his mouth was dry. His last memory was Sari holding their newborn daughter. And then the sky filled with ships. They took him. Not her. Just him. They didn't want the baby. They wanted to know how he made her. A tall, green-skinned alien stepped into view. His face was hidden behind a smooth silver mask. His voice was low, like wind through metal. You are very valuable, human, he said. Jake squinted. Let me go. The alien ignored him. You carry something your kind doesn't even understand. Your blood, your cells, your instinct. Another alien, smaller but faster, rolled a scanner across Jake's chest. It beeped. Perfect. It said, "Strong code, no mutation." Jake frowned. "What do you want?" The tall one leaned in closer. "We want your secret. Why do your kind give life so easily? Why do your women carry so many? Why can your seed grow inside any species?" Jake stared at him, then laughed. "You think it's some kind of trick?" he said. "Some formula?" The alien tilted his head. "Is it not?" Jake shook his head. "No," he said. "It's not a trick. It's what we are. We protect. We love. We survive. And when we find someone worth fighting for, we make sure life doesn't stop with us." The smaller alien hissed, "Poetry, worthless." The tall one raised a hand. "Then we will take the answers from your body." Jake stopped laughing. In the hidden colony where Sari now lived, the baby was already crawling. No one understood how she grew so fast. She spoke her first word on day 3. Da. Sari cried when she heard it. "She remembers him," she whispered. "She remembers her father." But Jake was gone, and no one knew where. Back in the lab, they brought in another subject, a captured female from a dying race. Her skin was cracked, her eyes tired. They placed her in a tube beside Jake. "You will mate," the masked alien said. "Now here, we will observe." Jake's face darkened. "You think that's how it works?" he said coldly. "Like an experiment?" The woman looked away, ashamed. Jake pulled at the straps. "You monsters," he growled. "You don't deserve to be saved." The lights flickered. Suddenly, a loud explosion shook the lab. Alarms screamed. Doors flew open. And standing in the smoke was a figure with glowing gold eyes. It was the child, the hybrid daughter. She was not a baby anymore. She had grown in days, walked in weeks. And now, with Sari's blessing and Velinor's help, she came looking for the one who made her, her father. The alien screamed. They fired stun blasts. She dodged them like wind. She touched the chair Jake was strapped to. The metal melted. He stood, eyes wide. "Kid," he said. She smiled and reached for his hand. "Time to go, Dad." The lab burned behind them as they escaped into the night sky. And somewhere deep in the galaxy, the council watched it all through secret feeds. "Contain the humans," the Chancellor ordered, "before the galaxy becomes theirs." But it was too late. Jake was free. The child was alive. And now, others were coming. The stars paused. For a single second across 5 sectors, 2 moons, and 1,000 ships, everything stopped. Something had just been born. Something new. It happened inside a tiny medical room, deep in the colony caves of Mir. Sari lay still on the soft bed, breathing heavy. Jake knelt beside her, holding her hand, eyes wide with fear. Doctors from 3 species surrounded them. None of them understood what was happening. The child inside her was growing too fast, moving too strong, glowing too bright. "She's burning up," one medic said. "Her blood is reacting to both genomes at once." Another shouted. But Sari didn't care about science. "She's alive," she whispered. "She's ours." Jake kissed her forehead. "You're strong, Sari. She's strong. You both are." Lightning flashed outside. Then her body tensed. "It's time," she gasped. And then she was born. But she didn't cry. Not at first. She looked around, eyes glowing gold. Her skin shimmered like liquid light, part human, part alien. Something never seen before. She opened her mouth and made a sound no translator could understand. But every being in that room felt it: warmth, peace, life. The child looked at Jake. Then at Sari. Then she smiled. At that same moment, on a council warship orbiting the outer planets, all sensors froze. "Unknown energy signature," the captain said. "It's coming from planet Mir." The Chancellor stood from his command seat. "Is it a weapon?" he asked. "No," said his science officer, eyes wide. "It's a birth." Velinor watched the data stream from his own ship. The energy. Readings matched his forbidden experiment, but this was even stronger. He leaned back in his chair. They did it, he said. They actually did it. He tapped the small button. All channels. Send this across every star system. The message spread faster than light. Hybrid child born. Human and alien DNA combined successfully. Child is healthy. Strong, stable, breathing. Some leaders called it a lie. Some screamed that it was a threat. Others wept with hope. On a frozen moon where no baby had been born in 200 years, an old queen turned to the sky and whispered, "Maybe there's still time." On a ship full of refugees from a dying species, a mother clutched her infertile daughter and said, "Find a human, any human. Please." Back in the colony, the baby finally cried, a soft sound, but it echoed through the walls like thunder. Jake held her close. His heart raced. He had seen war. He had seen death, but he had never seen anything like this. His daughter, the first hybrid. He looked into her golden eyes. "She's going to change everything," he whispered. Sari smiled, weak but proud. "She already has." Suddenly, a transmission came through the colony's main screen. A council official appeared, face tense. "This is a direct order," he said. "Turn over the child, immediately. This is not a request." No one moved. Jake stepped in front of the screen. "You want her?" he said. "You'll have to go through all of us." The colony roared in agreement. They weren't just protecting the child, they were protecting the future. The council ship moved closer to the planet, weapons charged. But at that exact moment, 3 other species sent messages of warning. "If you harm the child," one said, "you declare war on hope." Another said, "We will protect this life, even from the council." And a third one that had stayed silent for a century said simply, "Let the human girl live." For the first time in history, the council backed down. No battle, no fire, only silence, and a single cry from a glowing child wrapped in a blanket, resting in her father's arms. The child walked without stumbling. She was only 10 days old, but her balance was perfect, her movements graceful. Golden light flickered in her eyes. Her skin changed color slowly, sometimes human peach, sometimes soft blue, sometimes a mix no one could name. She walked through the colony garden in silence, and behind her walked a crowd. Not just humans, not just aliens, but both. They followed the child not with fear, not with weapons, but with hope. Because in her, they saw a new beginning. Far above the planet, inside the Galactic Council's high chamber, all eyes were on a single live feed. A little girl holding her mother's hand. Sari knelt beside her daughter, helping her pick up a flower. Jake stood close, watching with quiet pride. No one spoke inside the chamber. Even the Chancellor stayed silent. Finally, one voice broke the silence. It was Velinor. But he wasn't in the room. He stood on a large screen, broadcasting from his own lab, calm and clear. "Council members," he said, "you tried to stop this. You called it unnatural, a threat." He paused. "And yet, the child lives, she smiles, she grows." He pointed to the screen behind him, showing DNA scans. "She is stronger than either species alone, healthier, smarter, faster, and still, she is kind." The council murmured. Velinor leaned forward. "You feared humans would replace us. You were wrong." He smiled. "They were meant to join us." The Chancellor stood. "And what happens when more hybrids come? What happens when there are thousands, millions?" Jake's voice came through the screen next, calm but firm. "Then maybe the galaxy will finally stop dying." Across the stars, things began to change. On planets where no child had been born in decades, humans were welcomed in. Alien women once told they could never have children again suddenly could. Hybrid babies began to appear, some with human eyes, some with alien hands. all of them full of life. War slowly faded. Old enemies found peace, not through treaties, but through shared children. The hybrid girl named Luma grew quickly. By the end of her first month, she could speak 3 languages. By the end of her third, she was walking through embassies, shaking hands, smiling with sharp teeth and soft eyes. She became more than a symbol. She became a bridge. 1 year later, the council met again. This time, not in secret. The chamber was filled with humans and aliens alike. No weapons, no guards. Luma entered the hall holding her parents' hands. She stepped to the center and looked around. Then, in a clear and soft voice, she spoke. "My name is Luma. I'm not just human. I'm not just alien. I'm both. And I'm not the only one. We are the future." She paused, "And we're already here."